Hello and welcome back to the EF5 podcast, your crossroads between logistics and life. And today, what we're going to talk about is something that everyone really at one point kind of had a stake in, you know, whether it be from early in its inception to the Attitude Era or to the new PG era, which a lot of people...
Is that what it's called now?
A lot of people watch this.
PG area?
Mm-hmm.
What?
I mean, they refuse to show blood or anything.
Really?
Yeah.
What is that?
You've never heard of that?
No. No, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Well, today we're talking about wrestling.
Wrestling.
Wrestling, and not the good kind, the fake kind.
Yeah, not the technical kind. So don't leave comments complaining because we.
Why didn't you talk about the Oklahoma State wrestling class of '92?
That's legitimate wrestling. What are y'all talking about?
I mean, we could talk about legitimate wrestling too. Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling.
I guess there's like Rick Steiner. There's a couple legitimate wrestlers that were there.
Did Lesnar wrestle too? Didn't he?
I don't know. He's just a beast.
That is true. Lesnar kind of did everything. He's kind of nasty. Anyways, a lot of what I want to talk about today is the impact that wrestling has had on you over time.
Me?
On you, yeah. So when you were growing up, right, who was your favorite wrestler?
Probably I was born in the North and raised in the South is the way I explained it. So I was on the WWF side while they had the NWA. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
So the South had one kind of, it was back when they had regional wrestling. Like you'd show up at the gym and grandma had the chair and she was going to town. So it was a lot more regional based. And so when I kind of like first got into it, it was WWF, Junkyard Dog, Big John Studd, Andre the Giant. Those boys.
Hulk
Hogan.
Ago. Was that
what?
That was a long time ago. And compared to now,
shoot, that was almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was right around the corner.
Well, here I put it to you this way. I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts.
He was the man.
Well, he's like a manager now, and not even for WWE, for AEW.
Is he like Jim Cornette now?
I don't even know what Jim Cornette is. He
Never
even
used
alive?
to carry a tennis racket around.
Is he even alive still?
That was the Midnight Express, man.
That was a long time ago. Or
it was the Rock and Roll Express, and I think they had a Midnight Express too.
They did have a Midnight Express too. I don't remember who was on the Midnight
I think
Express.
Cornette was the Rock and Roll Express.
Well, you remember Jimmy Hart with the
the Mouth of the South.
You know, he actually did a lot of the theme songs at that time.
Him and the Honky Tonk Man.
I forgot about the Honky Tonk Man.
He wasn't playing the guitar.
I remember I was watching I watch a lot of like videos on YouTube just of like compilation stuff from the old times because I didn't grow up then, so I didn't get to experience
thought
a lot
about
of it.
then.
There was this one time when Honky Tonk Man, I forget, I want to say it was Sid Vicious who he was doing the promo
he was
on.
A beast too.
Yeah, Sid Vicious was kind of a beast.
Hey, Sid Vicious against Brock I can't even say his name. Brock Lesnar. Sorry, I'm excited here. That'd be a good matchup. Old Sid and Brock.
Maybe Sid in his prime. I don't know. I feel like
Just two beasts.
I feel like Sid's kind of a teddy bear at heart, though.
That's not what the other wrestlers say.
Well, I mean, Sid kind of broke his leg in the ring too. You remember that? Did you ever see that?
He snapped, didn't he? Wasn't he the one that snapped Stone Cold's neck?
No, that was Owen. Owen
I thought
Hart.
Sid Vicious did it too.
Wouldn't surprise me. Now I don't know.
That's why. Sorry, Stone Cold, you're probably with me. That's why he walks around like this because his neck's done been broke so many times.
Well, maybe it like fused that way when they picked him up off the mat. Remember, and it was kind of like that because his neck.
Maybe
was
he
broken.
needs to go see DDP. Doesn't he do that yoga thing?
Yeah, that's true. He does do that yoga thing. Well, that's actually how Jake the Snake turned out to be like normal after his drug problems.
Normal.
Well, he was really, dude. He was like on his deathbed for like a couple years now.
Did you see the what's that guy that did that movie like The Wrestler?
Oh,
they're all like drugged or
Rourke?
dying just about. Yeah.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke does kind of look like that.
That was kind of like the Flair
normally.
deal, wasn't it? It's like a simulation to it. Wasn't it Gorgeous George or something in that movie?
I don't know. I didn't watch the movie. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah.
You watched it? Was it bad?
It was kind of rough.
I heard it was.
I did watch it.
I think I forget who said it. It might have been I'm not even gonna speculate who it was, but I forget. It was a WWE wrestler at the time. They said that it was like the most accurate depiction of like pro wrestling at the time.
It really, I mean, it was a good movie and related to that, but it didn't. It wasn't like the high profile movie you thought it would be.
Right.
You were expecting more, and it showed more.
Expecting
I guess,
like
more
a
reality.
Creed level kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Rocky.
Yeah. Well, too bad there's no Rockies in WWE. There was the one boxing match. You remember that? I think it was like WrestleMania 3 with Butterbean. And
I don't think it was 3, but I do remember
Butterbean and Bart Gunn. Do you know Bart Gunn? But he was never even supposed to be in that. So the way it was supposed to work was it was never set up to begin with, right? I don't know why. I don't know why they never scripted it, but they never scripted it, and they were like, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out and box, but we want." I think it was Dr. Brody or whatever his name was at the time. I forget what his name was. I think it might have been that. He was supposed to win it, and he was supposed to go on and fight. I don't even think it was Butterbean, actually. I think it was supposed to be another wrestler, and Bart Gunn just screwed it all up. And when Bart Gunn won, Vince McMahon hated it. He did not like that at all. So he got Butterbean to go and knock him out. And that's what happened. He lasted like 10 seconds, and Butterbean laid him out. So moral of the story is don't screw over Vince McMahon.
Hey, who made the most money on doing nothing in the ring?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I got one that comes to mind right away.
I got one that kind of comes to mind, but you're probably a little bit more farther back than me. Do you remember Hornswoggle?
Yeah.
I think he probably made
I'm not talking about the smallest one.
Well, but how much did he do, though? Dude, he had a whole Skittles partnership and everything. Remember when we went to WrestleMania Access and they had Under the Ring, and it was like a whole little Skittle parlor with him.
He did.
I forgot about that.
I was thinking more about who has the most famous leg drop.
Talking about Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan definitely did a whole lot of nothing.
And he even admits it.
Well, what's funny is he's probably one of the few people that have done the least in the ring, but seems to have the most like physical health problems. Like if you look at him, Matt Hardy's a good example of this too. But Matt Hardy did a lot more stunts. But Hogan can't walk. His whole like lower back is just screwed from so many leg drops, and he can't walk at all. He just like.
You sure it ain't from the body slams?
I mean, it could have been for the body slams, I guess, or maybe anything else in between getting to that spot.
Because I think the leg drop could last a little longer.
Well, no, it's because he's landing on his tailbone all the time. He's landing like on his back.
Okay.
That's what it is.
If
that's
you
what
want
it
to
is.
sell that.
That's what
we'll
it is.
See what part of your mafia buys it.
That's what
your fan club here.
That's what happened with Matt Hardy too. Think about what Matt Hardy's moves were. Matt Hardy
he
didn't
flew
have
off the rafters and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Jeff Hardy's still wrestling, so clearly it wasn't that bad if Matt Hardy can't walk.
Maybe he got the bad genes of the family.
That's true. That is true. But a lot of Matt Hardy's moves were like landing on his butt and landing on his back, and that's where like his lower back. I forget. I think the word is or the term is like spinal stenosis or something, and it's basically where your nerves and stuff are like merging together and they're like compressing.
I didn't know you were a doctor.
I'm not. I'm a forum reader. That's about it. But Sting has the same thing too, which I don't know why Sting does. I
guess it's the Scorpion Deathlock he used to put in.
I can recall maybe 3 Sting matches, and that's it. Everything else was just him and the trench coat and a bat flying around.
Hey, the immortal one's still around though, Ric Flair.
He is off of a.
Hey, he's ready to go now,
dude. That guy is like the Keith Richards of wrestling. Just looks like death everywhere. Is somehow still heart's beating just fine.
Hey, he's been rolling like that for like 15, 20 years now.
Look, Ric Flair is those Facebook articles where it's like 115-year-old woman says secret to living so long is 3 Dr. Peppers a day. He's like the equivalent. He's like probably takes like I don't know 5 shots of tequila before he goes to bed every
12
day.
packs a day.
Yeah. Something ridiculous like that. What are
awesome.
some other wrestlers that come to mind that like were big
Of course,
on you?
you left out the Taker. Come on now.
Taker, yeah.
And then
Taker.
you got the epic clashes of Steamboat and Flair.
Or
the Legion of Doom, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. I watched the Legion of Doom match the other day. Actually, it was one of
the best ones you've ever watched too.
It was one of the WrestleMania matches. It wasn't very good.
Well, WrestleMania was after they were really something. They were really something in
that would make sense
NWA stages.
Is that what it was?
When they did the scaffold matches down in Atlanta.
Okay.
Put a scaffold out and like a beam in between them and
Actually,
throw each other off of it.
I forgot about that. That's what like got like ECW big and stuff, because they would just find everything to just throw their bodies through and stuff like that.
Shoot, the real gang started when the Four Horsemen would chase Dusty Rhodes down and whip him. They follow him around in the old Cadillac. Guy jump out with the camera and bang on it a few times with a baseball bat. And Dusty Rhodes show up with a Band-Aid on him. Them boys. American Dream.
Don't make fun of the American Dream like that.
Sorry,
He's not here to defend himself.
Couldn't quite talk like Boomhauer
anymore at all.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Goldust.
It's crazy.
I don't mean to be talking about your dad.
Dude, Goldust is something else, man. Did you know that? Listen to this. You're going to like this story. He was so committed to the Goldust character that he told Vince that he would get chest implants for it.
Next subject.
That's wild, ain't it?
No.
That's wild. Now he's nothing like that. You know he's older than you?
What are you trying to say about me in this age deal?
I'm just saying he's older than
Dude,
you.
I'll throw you right through this table right now.
Listen, don't get me started on table throwing.
It's not child abuse anymore. You're a grown man.
Well, you're the one that didn't want to throw me through it the first time. You're like, no, imagine how bad that would look if
That's true.
Dad threw his son through the
Same thing.
table.
That was at home. This is at work. A lot of legality. You get mad at me, so.
It's true. Is my money going to workers' comp yet?
No. You're just here because I invited you. None of the new guys can talk on the mic like the old guys.
Call me old?
No, I'm saying nobody can talk on the mic like the old guys. Like Stone Cold and Rock.
There's a few.
You would just die laughing.
There is no one that'll beat The Rock on the mic. Not a chance. I think The Rock is not even generational talent. I think he is like a one of a kind. So I don't think anyone beats him.
The best wrestlers on the mic: The Rock, obviously, Flair, off the cuff.
I would
Diesel,
say
Kevin Nash.
I would say DX in their prime.
Yes, that's where I was going too.
Yeah. Like you remember
definitely Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember their podium skit? Where it was them and China next to him, and they were like,
"Oh, China was a beast. She probably whipped Brock."
she probably would actually, but they were reading off of a letter, and I didn't know this until I heard the story afterwards. But they were reading it, and they was talking about all the words that they wouldn't say during those hours at the time. Yeah, you've seen it before, haven't you?
I don't know.
Well, it's just like a plethora of curse words, right? And all the words that you shouldn't say at the dinner table, stuff like that. And he's just going down. He's like, from 8 to 9 p.m. we will not use the words beep 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 and beep. And then Sean gets up and he does the same thing. Or no, it started with Sean, and then Triple H gets up and says like another plethora of words, and then Sean's like, bleep, and then Triple H was like, watch your mouth, and it's just it spirals from there, right? And
so they were the one that sent it to the PG era.
So what's funny is the letter that they were reading was actually directly from the USA Network, and they just recited it over and over again. And when the USA Network never intended for them to read it, obviously it was meant to just go to Vince and tell them to stop. And then that was during the Attitude Era, so they're like, all right, we'll just spin it into something else because they were writing their own content at the time. And they spun it, and then USA got back to them like the next day. They're like, we love that.
And that's great.
So that's
a cool
That's
story.
one of their actually like more like famous stunts, I guess, that they pulled with China at the time. But it was DX is one of my favorite like tag teams ever.
Yeah, they were definitely a classic one. To me, they and it was great because they were battling in different organizations, different networks, same time. So I remember going back and forth to different channels trying to wonder who was going to be on when. Right. And then they started even competing on each other, putting the prime guys like DX right during the NWO slot, right when they had their best guys on the mic, when Hogan was on the mic talking mess, or when Scott Hall and those guys were on the mic. Right. And then DX is on the mic, and you're like, oh, man, it was before you had 2 TVs in the house.
Right.
Like, oh, I got to go back and forth.
I remember there was one time, too, I think it was on WCW, because Mick Foley never went to WCW, right? Pretty sure he was always on WWF.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's correct.
Or he maybe was like a brief stint in WCW.
Felt like Cactus Jack might have been over there one time, but I may be wrong.
Gotcha. He might have been, because that's when Vince knew him. It was Cactus Jack.
Yeah, I can't remember
So it
if
might
he
have
ever
been.
crossed over or not.
But he was Mankind in WWE. And I remember on WCW, I don't even remember who the announcers were. I don't know if you knew him off the top of your head. But they actually spoiled Mick Foley winning the title.
Really?
To get people to not watch it anymore. They're like, and we're just receiving word that Mankind has won the WWF title over whoever it was at the time.
That's awesome. I didn't know that story.
And they slid it in one of their primetime matches.
And Michael Cole, I think, were there.
Not on WCW. I think WCW was really
No,
WCW was like Tony Schiavone.
And it was Larry the King Lawler.
Jerry.
Larry.
No,
sorry.
Jerry was on WWE at the time.
Sure.
I think.
Can't remember. I used to jump.
I don't remember who was with Tony Schiavone, or Tony Schiavone. Schiavone. That's right. You know he's on AEW now.
Yeah. He also does news, like sports updates or
really?
something. Yeah.
Wow,
I guess that was when Vince didn't want him.
Yeah, probably. Well, everyone. I remember we were listening to that Scott Steiner interview, and he said pretty much everyone, once they merged and WCW came over, they weren't treated very well. So, not surprised about that. But you know who else also was always nasty on the mic and still is? Paul Heyman. That guy is
Paul Heyman guy.
That guy is constantly in character. He's so deep into character every time that he's like out of the ring and like out of the company for like doing like an interview or something. I'm convinced it's just him. Like it's absurd.
Undertaker was one of the first ones that really made sure whatever character was a 24-hour character, really.
Right.
We saw that interview with him and Ed Milet.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he wanted to live the character.
And he did. He did for sure. Well, it's like, I can't name any other people that really did that outside of...
Well, the natural living of it was Flair and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, that is
They
true.
were limo riding, jet flying.
Right. But I guess on the other hand, though, there wasn't many characters that had to live a lifestyle to that point, right? Like the Undertaker's was the dead man.
That I can click on the phone right now and find out what happened in China today.
Right.
2 seconds ago. So the storytelling went from town to town.
Right.
So 5 towns ago, 5 nights ago, they could have been somebody different back then.
And seeing like the Undertaker break character at that time when wrestling was a lot more investable, I guess, like from an emotional point of view from people. I think seeing that would definitely have hurt the marketing of him.
But you think about like that time frame it started building into what we see today. Communication, visibility became faster sooner. Whereas those guys that came well before had kind of like they could go and hide in a sense, so they didn't have to be that character seen, but whatever town they were in.
Well, I'll tell you who took advantage of that was Steve Austin and JBL with, you know, just taking in their character as themselves. That's smart.
Well, the real good ones, but Undertaker's an outlier, but the real good ones, that character normally is their persona. Kind of like what we talked about with the core values. You know, you have your own personal core values, and then that bleeds into who you can be authentic.
Well, should you think about The Rock? I mean, The Rock went and did, what, 1 movie or 2 movies or whatever it was, and came back as the Hollywood Rock or whatever it was, and he just spun that as his character the whole time, too. And, I mean, it wasn't even necessarily a character because he was technically, you know, Hollywood at the time, but he was like, yeah, that's me, and then ran with it.
The eyebrow. You'll never get another eyebrow like that.
You'll never get another Rock, man.
The people's elbow.
I can't think of anybody that like was close to the influence and charisma as The Rock was.
Well, that shows, you know, where he's at today.
Yeah, probably in terms of entertainment.
Like even
probably the most successful person.
Maybe the movies aren't the best movies. They still are that much better because he's there.
And they do so much more in box offices because of him. Dude, just such a driving name. Every time. It doesn't matter who it is, but if it's The Rock in there, it'll drive him every time. You can put The Rock with like just nobodies for actors. Like spend all your budget on The Rock. And it'll probably
who else is going to make the Tooth Fairy that cool of a movie?
Tooth Fairy was a good movie too.
And it was. But like, who else can pull that off?
Right, exactly.
Flair ain't pulling that off.
Or shoot,
Hogan ain't pulling that off.
Think about the game plan. You remember the game plan when he was the football player or whatever? That was a great movie. I don't think anyone else could have did what The Rock did. Or at least
did he
to the
do
level.
the Gridiron Gang? No, who did that? Ice Cube did that?
I don't know who's in the Gridiron Gang, actually.
For some reason, I think The Rock did.
No, it wasn't The Rock, because I remember there was one WWE character at the time. It was Khali. Great Khali was in it. And there wasn't anymore, I don't think.
Maybe it was Ice Cube, I think. Yeah, Ice Cube did the Gridiron Gang.
I don't remember.
I don't know, but thinking about any of the movies he did,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no other person you can put in there from the wrestling world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's like, yeah, that's the guy that should have played that role.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
come
agree.
on.
I agree.
Look, they're pretty cheesy. They're like B-grade Arnold Schwarzenegger movies that Cena does. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
You put The Rock in there, that's a freaking $500 billion movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then he blows, a B-grade Schwarzenegger movie has Cena. One that blows Schwarzenegger off has The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
what do you think of Cena? You like him? Don't like him? Don't really care?
I don't know.
You don't know? It's all right.
I'm like that. I'm in.
Probably a
go
little
either
different
way.
now that you watched it when I watched it a lot.
I like his intro. No, I don't know. That sounds like a Atari intro or something. Like we're about to play Miss Pac-Man or something. Like we just got ate up by the ghost.
That's funny. Well, something that I liked about intros a lot, or something I like about intros a lot, is when they get to choose their own song. Like, I remember Triple H was talking about when he got to make his own song, or not make his own song, but when they were working with the guy who makes all the songs, and his name's like Jim Johnston or something like that.
They just took crazy rock bands and threw them out there.
Well, what they were trying to do was they were trying to, like, because they were ready to get off of the My Time intro, right? You remember his old song?
Some of them.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Look.
whoa, whoa. That's what it sounds like.
Hold that. Cut that.
That's what it sounds like. But I actually like this old song, but they were ready to get moving off of it because he was starting to kind of evolve as, like, the game. Because I think he said on that commentary one day is like, I am the game, no one plays it like I do or something like that. And that's when the game stuck.
Okay.
And they were looking for some, like, gritty sounding band. And Triple H was like, yeah, let's try to shoot for something that sounds like Motorhead. And they're like, well, why don't we just get Motorhead? And they were like, all right, well, I didn't think that was on the table, but
that's awesome.
now that you mention it. And then they called him up, and then the rest is history. And they did Triple H's theme song, The Game. They did the King of Kings theme song for him, and then they did the Evolution theme song.
See, I couldn't even tell you what band that was.
Motorhead.
I know,
but
like until you said, I've heard of Motorhead now, but it's not on my playlist. So
they're on my playlist. So I like Motorhead. They're it's definitely a hard and fast sound that they have. That's for sure. What was I gonna say? What is stopping you from getting back into wrestling now? Because there's so much content with you have WWE, which a lot of people are actually turning away from because it's no longer fitting the audience. It's fitting what Vince wants to happen. And there's plenty of stories about Vince McMahon and
they're
how
all conspiracies.
They're really not. They're really not.
Move on.
But there's like WWE, there's AEW, which the Sting is now on. The Stinger, Jake the Snake's on there now. There's a lot of old WWE talent. Cody Rhodes is on there. And then you have, apparently TNA is making a comeback, or not TNA, Impact Wrestling, sorry. Apparently they're making a comeback.
Is that the one with the 5-corner ring or something?
Or it was with the hexagon is what it was.
Yeah.
It was 6 corners. That was a cool ring, though. You got to admit. That was a cool
not
ring.
for me.
It was a different like style. I don't remember if you remember. I guess they were pay-per-view at the time, and we didn't buy Impact at the time. But they had the hexagon ring, and it was for their X division, I think is what they called it, which was like the cruiserweight division. They put an X at the 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, and they made an X in the middle. and in there was what hung the title. So instead of the ladder match, you had to climb up the railings and get to the belt in the middle to pull it that way instead of like climbing the ladder to get to the top. And it was like their take on the ladder match.
I like the Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank's always a cool one. Always a cool one.
Suitcase of cash up there.
You want to know what happened at the? I don't know if it was the most recent Money in the Bank, but it was a very recent one. It was like 7-man or whatever. Everything's going good. They get to the very end. One of the unlikely people, unlikely ones always never win it. But he's at the top. He's got his hand on it. No one's in sight. Brock Lesnar theme song plays. He just runs out, knocks him off, wins it. Not in the match or anything. And then he's all of a sudden a Money in the Bank winner. It's like, how does that even? You just like devalued the whole Money in the Bank. Like,
but that's a Brock move.
That's a Vince loves Brock move.
That's true.
That is a Vince loves Brock move. I like Brock. Don't get me wrong.
That's a Vince power move over Dana White.
Dana White. Vince has so much money that he wouldn't even know what to do with it. And egoing Dana White, I think, is something that he doesn't really care about. Because he signed. I forget what UFC fighter. He was retired. It was like Brian Alvarez or something like that. And he was like Rey Mysterio's partner. And it was so bad. It was so bad. It was whoever Brock Lesnar never beat. So whatever the research
how old
is on
I am.
that.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. But I only remembered it because they said it. Michael Cole was like, Brock Lesnar's so scared. He's never beat him in his life. Oh, my God. And, it's just that shock factor. And it was terrible. Terrible. Awful angle. Awful. But AEW is really nice. They got some really good talent over there. Really good talent.
Somebody told me one time, enjoy the memories. Sometimes it's not always good to go back.
However, it is good to move forward, and moving forward is what we're going to do with the rest of this episode as we wrap it up. Something I want to bring up, you'll probably be seeing this come the new year, actually, because I don't think this is going out before the new year, right? According to the schedule.
You're the guy who runs the show. I don't know. Yeah, you can drop it today if you want.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going out today.
You scared?
I'm not scared. Well, what's today?
Just tell them what you're.
What's today?
No, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, see, so it might drop today. You never know. It might drop today. But one thing I do want to talk about is the amount of views, likes, subscribes, and comments that we've been getting. They're overwhelming. Very nice. Very, very, very thoughtful and appreciated from us. Yeah, that's kind of it. You got anything you want to add?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure this out. So I think I'm going to lead with they need to do the right thing and go ahead and hit the subscribe or like button.
That's what you think?
That's what I think.
That's what you think?
Because we always do the right thing.
All right.
Even when we don't want to.
That is true. That is true. All right. We out.
We out.